Welcome, race fans, to Dover Motor Speedway for tonight's run of the BNR series. Cars have just finished qualifying, and I've got Will Roberts by my side here today. Will, how are we doing?
Doing fantastic this evening, Chris. How about yourself?
Not so bad. Looking forward to watching these guys make 200 laps here at Dover tonight.
Yes, 200 laps, 200 miles here at Dover Downs, Delaware, Dover International Speedway here this evening, mile length. So, yeah, like you say, pretty. I'm going to say it's going to be maybe an exciting race to watch from a spectator point of view, as far as trying to see how well these drivers are going to be able to keep these cars under control. And if they can make it to a fuel window. But yeah, back to you, Chris.
All right, well, they're pulling out onto the track now, so let's run you through the fields. Starting off on the pole is Brock Page. On his outside is Brandon Moore. In row 2 is going to be Sean Judson with John Tiller. Row 3 will have Nathan Lyne, Philip Bridgman. Row 4, Jacob Carter and Brian Huntley. Row 5, Josh Small and Timothy Cook. Row 6 will be Chris Campbell and Cameron Smith. And bringing up the rear will be Mark Cochran, 15 car. All right, Will, what are you
Oh,
thinking? We're looking forward tonight.
well, like I said earlier, just keys to the race, trying to keep the car under control, keep up the momentum. This is momentum-based track, pretty much. You want to glide it into the corners, kind of pedal it if you can through. If not, just glide it through the corners, then try to pick it up on these straightaways. It is constantly banked track around here. Straightaways are banked, corners are banked. It's like it is riding a roller coaster. And green flag is out. We are racing barreling into turns 1 and 2 here, Chris.
Brock Page bringing him full force off of turn 2 with Moore and Judson behind him. Page with a pretty big lead already, heading to 3 now. Very quick to
Yeah,
single file out, Will.
Brock got a really good start on the initial uh, opening start there, green flag. And like you say, yeah, everybody trying to get spaced out. If they do, it's going to get a bit ultra harder to pass once you do. You really want to try to make up as much ground as possible on any restart or opening start, as we see a couple of drivers doing that there. But yeah, that's almost to be expected. Try to get a feel for the car on these opening laps. A
Could see,
couple of drivers with a penalty serving.
yeah,
That is why you see them in and coming out of the pits. So, and caution is out. So that's going to help those drivers with penalty having to serve here from a previous race or last race. So,
um,
to look and see what caution is for.
oh, there we go. Is that Nathan Lyne? Yeah, that was Nathan Lyne. Let's see if we can get a better angle. Looks like he just self-spun.
Now, just coming through turn 3 here, we're going to try to get the transition, but going through the middle of 3 and 4, car just breaks loose out from underneath him. The back end breaks away. The front end just keeps biting, turning into the track. So, stuff that these drivers are going to have to deal with, these handling issues, whether it's going to be just a handful into the corner, that transition from entering to exit, that follow through, if you will. So,
Lyne with a pretty good amount of damage on the front of that car on both sides.
oh yeah, he kind of whacked that inside wall pretty good once he was trying to get it woed down and stop. But kind of the concrete is a bit of a softer surface, I guess you could say, than asphalt, and it doesn't quite grip as well.
Need to lay some of that rubber down first.
Yes. So this track used to be asphalt completely, all around. Back when I used to race like 500 miles around here, but
When was that, Will?
late 80s into the early 90s, this track did not get configured into concrete that we see now until 92 or 93. I want to say it was the beginning of the 90s, somewhere around there. So just a little bit of insight. I
I'm sorry,
can't
Will.
quite remember the year, but what?
I'm sorry, Will. I got the NASCAR race on next to me, and Joey Logano with all that hair on his head. He just looks so silly now.
Yeah, he got those hair implants. Or
I mean, good for him,
yeah,
but we've seen him so thin for years, and now he just has this luscious head of hair.
yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, what's going on?
It's kind of like Chase Elliott doesn't quite look right with a mustache.
Oh, no, it's terrible. Chase is my boy, but come on. No mustache.
Yeah, just doesn't quite look right. But hey, no matter, I guess everybody's their own person. To each, oh no, Kyle Busch may have a problem. Oh, anywho, we
But
progress.
you know what does look right is these white banners we're seeing on these cars. These are the playoff banners, correct, Will?
I do believe so. Yes, indeed. The drivers fighting for uh, a championship
The
in the BNR Cup
playoffs.
Series. Yep, playoffs.
Just
These playoff banners. Who has a spot uh, in the BNR playoffs?
yeah,
Or
first
just
race right
could
here.
be. Oh, yeah, that is correct. Yes, indeed. So BNR playoffs starting here this evening at Dover.
Lights are off on the pace car. Gonna bring them back to the
So
line. We're 8 of 200. Well,
yeah, Page will be the leader, the control car on the restart. So Taylor's going to restart on that outside, and Josh Small going to be third. Chris Campbell in fourth on that outside lane. So Josh Small might be able to get a good jump at Tiller, maybe have a battle for P2 here. Next week will be Kansas, then Darlington. Darlington will be the first cutoff race of the first round here in VNR. As we get back going, green flag racing, as Small was not able to get the throttle back down soon enough and get a jump on Tiller, so Tiller escapes with second place. I do believe some of these drivers did come down and make a pit stop, and might see them get by. Go ahead.
I did see Judson on pit road. We can see the here on the right side screen. Moore, Huntley,
So
Cook,
Moore,
line.
yep, Moore, Huntley, and Cook, and like you said, Judson. So Judson trying to take full advantage of those fresh tires and pouncing on the back of Small. So Page, though, getting back in that rhythm, trying to set the pace, though, yet again, and Tiller trying not to let him go this time. Oh, line, hard contact to the outside wall there, turn 4. Dover, very difficult track to pass at. It can predominantly be a single groove or single lane track. But if he can get the rubber built up enough or just have the momentum to carry you along the outside as Tiller takes a pass along Page, so don't know if Brock had a bad turn one, but here is the change for the lead. Looks like he might have overdrove turn one and might have also just saw that Tiller had some speed chasing after him and could have just pulled over and let Tiller go, or like I said, could have had a bad turn one. So either or. Even though Tiller got by Page, Page isn't quite letting him go. And back here, Judson got past Josh, so Josh back to fourth. Judson currently P3. Chris Campbell under attack from Brandon Moore with the fresh tires, and also Brian Huntley here. So looks like Brandon might set his sights on Josh. Oh, Josh had a moment. Ill handling car coming out of turn two. Almost got away from him, but he was able to catch it, keep it going straight. Great save by Josh. You can just kind of see how difficult it can be coming off the corners here at Dover in these next Gen 7 Cup cars. However you prefer to slice it. That corner entry just diving in to the corner. And then it kind of just either like shoots you out or spits you out, however you want to word it there. So like I said earlier at the top of the show, it's basically like a roller coaster, and you really treat it as such.
I would almost, just me, think turn two here compared to like Darlington's turn two coming off the corner has just that like hump that kind of throws you. If you're not on your throttle game, just forget it. The track will spit you right out, and just in that one spot.
Same. In a way, it's very similar, like the transition off of turn four onto the stripe there on the start finish. So, but it's more so coming out of turn two. Turn one and two just kind of almost feels like it's almost never ending. But three and four, you know it's going to end. But one and two just feels like it's a bit more wider or sweeping of a corner, I guess you could say. This track is a tad bit angled, slightly different from each other as far as the ends go, so it will kind of give you that kind of a brief illusion that the corners are the same, but they are briefly, as far as trying to line it up, you know, geometry and all that other stuff. They are slightly off from one another.
Timothy Cook had a moment there. Got a little loose off the corner, collected it up, not contacting anything. Good for him.
I imagine we're going to see a lot more of that as this run progresses, keeps carrying on. We might even see the front runners even start to do that. Not surprised at the slightest, as hearing earlier just the drivers kind of complaining about the car's handling, just be snappy, just out of nowhere. So Brock Page got back by Tiller for the lead.
Here's that
so
pass
had
right
a
here.
move. Yep, into turn three, he chose to take it. And back around into the front position, Brock Page goes.
Something happened to Josh Small while we were taking a look at that.
Just that inside lane there. And then going through 3 and 4 here.
There we go. Slow on the bottom here.
Oh, yep. Just like we talked about earlier, just that transitioning coming off the corners and onto the straightaways. Doesn't matter if it's turn 2 or 4. It's going to catch these guys out. Maybe, just over on the steering too much, or maybe the car just kept on turning, perhaps. Couldn't get it back straight.
So
Or like you said, just getting back down on trying to get back onto the throttle. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, these next gen cars, they're hard to drive. You know, NASCAR wanted to make the
Yes.
cars hard to drive, and they did. Once in the driving that I've done with them, it's kind of like once they start going, good luck. You get in the old cars,
very hard
and
to catch it.
Yeah, you get in the old ones, and it's like a piece of cake to drive, but these ones are a lot more difficult.
Yeah, kind of like you said, once these cars get sideways, very hard to catch it back just because of the, really I would probably say the steering box in these cars, or the steering rack, however you prefer to word it, and just the older car, it was easier to catch, or I guess you could say almost maneuver, to a certain degree.
It's got to be the independent rear suspension.
Yes.
And that, the different drive lines, so each wheel's on its own. We're not dealing with solid rear axle anymore.
Yep. I'd have to agree, because even in a way, like, if you was to look under the car of a V8 supercar, they are the same way. So a lot of race cars, in a way, have that independent suspension, like you say, and don't really have an actual axle that leads to the tires anymore. It's all a trans axle. So.
Oh yeah, we're way in the past with the solid rear axle cars.
Yes.
We're working with old technology for sure.
So the first time they do a side-by-side is 70 laps, or 78 laps into the race. Wow. What happened to all the other times they could have done a side-by-side? But anywho, Page that got back by Tiller just a handful of laps ago, or not even, just a few laps ago, you might want to say. Now getting out to a nice buffer, a good lead, you could say, over the field here at Dover. Second and a half.
I think Brian had the same moment as the other two guys we've seen come off the corner.
Yeah, he's really cam-picked the right side of that 4 car. He was one of the ones that was just saying, earlier in the day, he was just going to ride, take it easy. He looks like he was trying to. Maybe the car just could have possibly just stepped out on him and into the... Oh, yep.
Yep, off the turn 4. Slaps that inside wall. Unfortunate.
That's the inside. I wonder what happened to the right side. But anywho, we probably wouldn't know that. But both sides of that car, it's probably going to be very undrivable.
Steering wheel might not be pointed quite perfectly. See Timothy Cook loose again.
Yep. Everybody out there just about having their hands full this evening here at Dover with these cars, just how they're handling. He's got some type of good wrench paint scheme or something on his car.
Yeah.
Almost like an AOL RCR car or something.
It's just like a power button, but yeah, the good wrench.
Yeah. I've been looking at it like I could have sworn like the quarter panel said like Goodwrench, but
So they got 6 sets of tires they can use here tonight.
and we already know that there's a handful of them that have already used one set, so just if a slew of cautions was to come in like, brief periods, just here or there, don't want to use them up too much, but fuel run this evening, if they could get green flag running in for the fuel running to get there, probably anywhere between 60 to 68 laps on a full tank. Some drivers may make it 70, but let's just wait and see who's to tell.
Brandon Moore making his way through the field. They're going by Tiller now.
Yep. Got to remember he's one of the cars. Him and Judson. He got by Judson, so he's the first car with newer-ish tires compared to the few cars that stayed out on the first caution of the evening. That caution will help a little bit, go a little bit further, plus the ones that pitted go further than the ones that can't, so.
Brock Page has a pretty big lead, though. He's got about 3.5 seconds.
Yep, pretty much almost a straightaway lead here at Dover. Or a corner lead, perhaps, but yeah, pretty good buffer. If anything, if he was to slide or have a moment, overdrive corner entry, he would probably, you would think, have time to get back into the groove of things. But yeah, Brandon's really good with momentum-based rhythm tracks, and if he can keep that green flag run up, he can probably possibly run down Brock. But Brock always, pretty much just about anywhere he goes, he's going to have speed. So pretty much one to watch, one to beat this evening, possibly Brock Page in that 36 machine. So everybody kind of spaced out now at the moment. Looks like one of the drivers.
Brian's starting to make up a few spots by the lookings of it. That left side crinkled in pretty good, but seems to be working well enough for him for the time being anyways. Judson making his way by Tiller now.
Yeah, Tiller got up out of the groove going through 1 and 2. That left Judson with the fresh tires, at least more fresher than Judson's, kind of swoop on by, take that position away. So Tiller kind of struggling now with these older tires. We might even see some of these drivers pit a little bit earlier, just for that chance about getting a fresh set of tires sooner than others. So that might be one to watch out for as well. Just the short pitting as far as short pit for tires.
It'll be interesting. We'll see how green flag pit stops go. This being another difficult pit road entry.
Yeah, what is it? Getting down to like 35 or 40 here? Something like that.
I'm not sure what the speed is. It's just, I don't know. I guess it's a lot of tracks anyway. It's just hard to get onto pit road.
Yeah,
they kind of just come around quick.
There is particularly a lot of tracks where it is difficult to get on pit road. I would almost want to put Dover in that top 5 list. But just, kind of taking that transition from the banking onto the asphalt, and then your pit stall is concrete, so Very, very tricky.
I think Brian might have got loose again.
Excuse me. But yes, indeed, pit road, just how narrow it gets trying to make that transition from being on the racetrack on down, get on down to the flat, I guess you might as well call it, onto the asphalt transition of pit road. Goodness gracious. But yeah, there's a lot of tracks. So Chicagoland's pretty difficult if you was to run Chicagoland. Atlanta can be difficult. There is so many tracks. I guess this is a track that you could probably speed pretty easily. It is. I've had my fair share of being in the lead at Dover and getting hit with a speeding penalty entering the pits. So it can be quite tricky getting into pit road as far as slowing up and even, you know, like we talked about just a moment ago, making that transition. So
Looks like Brian Hunt's gonna pit now. He's already lost a lap though, so not looking so good for trying to go for a three-peat this week.
yeah, both of those ends of the cars just kind of caved in. So like I said a while ago, kind of surprised he stayed out here this long with just how many times he tried to clobber the wall down. Surprised he hadn't kind of came in sooner to kind of repair the car a little bit, but he stuck it out as long as he could. So Brock Page with over 3.5 second lead over the field as far as second place goes. Just put Nathan Line another lap down and setting a pretty good pace here this evening at Dover. One would have to say pretty already looks like to be dominant pace. We're only just over 55 laps into the race. Out of 200 miles this evening, so
Just over a quarter of the way, Will.
yes, indeed, Chris. So if it stays green, they keep knocking these laps down. These 22 to 23 second, maybe, depending on the tire fall off, it might drop down to the 24-second bracket, but between 22 to 24-second lap times, you know, this race could be over before you know it.
Looks like Huntley's gonna keep going multiple laps down, maybe just trying to get that car fixed up. Looks like Brian's hopes of winning tonight are out the window.
That's just trying to probably carry some of those points that he earned by winning and just whatnot. Hopefully those, if that is, if I'm not mistaken, how they run the point system, you know, if you win, you get X amount of points and whatnot. Hopefully, if he does have those points, you know, to rely on, I guess you could say, to keep carrying him forward into the next couple of weeks to keep him where he needs to be to contend. He can kind of have a little bit of a points buffer to fall back on, I guess you could say, if that is how things work. I think all really Brandon Moore kind of needs is a caution, and he could be right there, like just hounding Brock Page, applying the pressure to him, and really we would have a great battle for the lead on our hands, you know. As we do now see, who is that?
It's Tiller.
Yes, okay, so now John Tiller, one of the drivers that stayed out during the first caution, coming down to pits, so I like being right on the fuel window, or you know, the pit stop window, so that's great to see. I always like to say, you know, I could be a crew chief for somebody.
So Will, as we were talking about the points, it looks like they do reset where everybody has reset at 2,000, and the bonus points are on top of that because Brian has 2019, and behind him is Brock Page with 2015 and Tiller with 2015 as well. So it's looking like the bonus points keep them ahead, but now those 2 wins that he has, since we're in the playoffs now, they got him in, but now they're not really they're not going to help him from here on. So
yeah, that's a good point. He's going to have to try to, I believe I said next week is Kansas, and then after that Darlington's an elimination race. So yeah, it's going to be very tough hard work the next coming weeks to keep yourself in contention for this BNR Cup Championship.
Brock Page is still opening that gap over Brandon Moore. He was keeping it steady for a bit, but now it's opening up. Page seems to be pretty well at conserving his equipment and fast while continuing on, you know?
Yes, exactly. Still having that
Speed.
good long, yes, that good speed over the consistency of just being able to run fast, exactly. We should see Page in either this lap or the next, anywhere between here or the next 4 laps from now, just because, you know, like I said, we had that caution there, so could have probably saved it, you know, a little bit. And also, oh, that's could have been a lot worse for wear than it was. Just Phillip having a moment
Like
there
Page
in the 48 machine.
Looked like Page actually got a little loose when that happened.
Yep. He was probably trying to apply the brakes, put on the binders. What happened? Oh man, I looked down on the phone screen and I look up at the television.
Oh yeah.
Man. Always, oh man, that's a lot of front end damage on Hendrick's mobile. Oh no, not gonna have, you're not winning this race this year there, Austin. Oh, sorry, I said I was only gonna give Snippet. My bad. I said I was gonna do light. I did heavy there. I gave it heavy.
Timothy Cook down pit lane. Looks like Brandon Moore going by Bridgman. It's gonna Bridgman now a lap down. So we got, let's see, Page and Moore are the only cars to not have hit. I'm sorry, Bridgman has not pitted. Page, Bridgman, and Small. To pit. Unbelievable. Even with 5-lap older tires, still pulling away.
It's just basically about being able to be consistent, getting into the corner, through the corners, off the corner, down the straightaways, and able to do that lap after lap after lap sort of deal. So
consistency. Laying down a fast lap is one thing, but laying down 200 of them is a whole nother thing.
Well, I hope Ryan Blaney got what he wanted with the car, wanting to like take more of the impact away, because there's nothing left of the front end. It's not a tank no more.
Here
It's
we
not
go,
going to go
Page
back
on the
out
pit
there
road now. Page and
run
Moore
any
both
more
on pit
laps.
road.
So, wow. So, Page able to go 74 laps here with that caution. So, a little bit of that caution help, and Moore actually, I guess, tries to meet him, I guess you could say. Moore possibly could have gained. Tough night. I tell
Here
you what,
comes Bridgman.
I knew since the moment I woke up today, I'm like, man, this is gonna be a long day. Anywho, so
Let's see, we
I
got
think
Josh Small is the only one that has not pitted yet. He's trying to grab a couple of bonus points for leading a lap.
and Philip also out here going a little bit longer too, but looks like yep, now he comes in, so he goes 75 laps. I know that's small.
Yep, Small finally hitting pit road. Bridgman heading off of pit road now. So Tiller is the current leader. Page about a little over 3.5 seconds back.
That's kind of that advantage though of taking, your pit stop a bit earlier from, the faster cars in front of you, getting that fresh tire, and being able to come out and set some quick lap times, basically, since that leader or the people who were in front of you before you pitted are still going to stay out, anywhere between maybe 5 to 10 laps longer than you will. So that's, 5 to 10 laps that you can sort of, I guess you could say, have to run down a deficit of some sort and try something at the end of the day to take control of the race, if you may.
See Huntley back out on the track. Looks like he got a bunch of that damage fixed up. Now 21 laps down. Unfortunate.
Yes, totally out of contention, one would say. I don't think we're going to have 21 cautions. Plus,
like Nathan Line is out. So Brian Huntley should get his top 10 out of this at least. As he surpasses how many laps ahead Line is. Brandon Moore heading by Josh Small. That gap is closing fairly quickly. Well, between Tiller and Page. Page closing in down to 2.5 seconds now.
And you kind of want to say that Brandon Moore was able to kind of chase down a couple of seconds, at least during the pit entry, it looked like, at least. So maybe Brock Page a little bit weak getting on pit road compared to Moore, perhaps. So we know Tiller will more than likely get rammed down because of how the offset strategy he has compared to Page and Moore. So just got to wait and see when that will actually happen. We do see that gap shrinking down drastically because the fresh tires compared to Tiller's, 8 to 10 lap older tires, if not more. I think he's got 11 lap older tires. He pitted 62, and Page and Moore pitted like 73, 74, I think.
It's like all of the top 3 are closing in now.
Pit stops can be a great equalizer about getting on and off pit road into your pit stall without, kind of locking it up and sliding forward or having to move to be in that correct position for iRacing to actually take your pit stop.
Oh.
Yep, here they all 3 are, the top 3. Tiller, I think, had a bad turn 3 and 4 when Page got to him. Now Page is there, but everybody's in their own dirty air here, getting kind of stacked up. Tiller goes to the inside, kind of saying, hey, you guys can go around me, but got to do it on the outside, which they both do. Now Brandon Moore, hot on the trail of Brock Page. What type of pressure can Brandon Moore apply here to maybe make Brock, overdrive the corner, drive in deeper or harder, or maybe gonna look to see if he can go along the outside here? And Brandon Moore is going to do it. We're going to have another new race leader here in just the same amount of laps. So Brandon Moore to the race lead in the 47 machine, followed by Brock Page in the 36 and John Tiller in the 27. That's the top 3. So good little scrap here going on between Page and Moore. And then back here, Judson getting around, navigating around Brian Huntley, or vice versa, because Huntley just, like we said, came out the pits with the damage repairs, so don't know how fresh those tires actually could be, if he's actually trying to run down or get by.
Ooh, we just caught Chris Campbell as he was mid-drift. Just a tiny loose.
But still, nevertheless, great save. That could have been worse.
Absolutely.
Closing in on 100 laps to go here at Dover in the BNR Cup Series. Dover 200, I guess you could call it. First race out of the BNR playoffs. Brock Page pretty much been dominating this evening, but then now Brandon Moore got up to him as they were battling with John Tiller. And now Brandon Moore pretty much trying to set a pace, get away from Brock Page. Doesn't want to see Brock Page behind him. He wants to open up that gap. I don't know, though, if he's going to fully be able to or not, but so as we can see, Brock Page not letting Brandon Moore get away. You can see the gap back from the leader to Judson. So Judson was just getting into 3 and 4. as the leaders were going down the straightaway. So that's the gap back to them. I believe that was Judson. So Tillard lost the place, so Judson now in third.
Tiller not having such a great run after that pit stop. Came out in first with a pretty big lead, and just going backwards since then, though.
Well, we could just kind of see that's just how the life of the tire kind of falls off here at Dover, it looks like here. Just the tire model. And just how overall you can perform with the tires that you get here, I guess you could say. He kind of charged pretty early, but you gotta also remember he does have that big he pitted, you know, 10 to 12 laps before everybody else pitted.
Yeah, looking at it right here,
he started that pit cycle.
Yeah, he's 14 laps sooner than Moore and Page. I thought they were closer than that, but that would explain why he's not able to keep up so well, as they're making their way by Campbell now. Putting him a lap down, unfortunate for him. Like you said, well, Page not letting up.
No, not at all. Brock Page still there, consistently there behind Moore. More so closer since he got by, so. Now, like we said just a moment ago, under 100 laps to go.
Page may be trying to make a move here.
Well, Brandon Moore is taking every inch of every lane away as far as putting his car in the right place where it needs to be in front of Brock Page's through the corners, just putting that dirty air all over the front of the 36 machine. So any type of momentum or run that he could have had, but now Brock Page has a door of opportunity, takes it down low. Brandon Moore went a bit wide into turn one. Side by side going down the back straightaway into turn three, all the way through 3 and 4. Just incredible side by side racing here. Brandon Moore finally gets cleared, drops down to the bottom, able to turn that car now where he wanted to. Has a couple of car lengths gap to Brock Page. Brock almost like clobbered turn 2, but very close from it. You can really tell Brock Page wants to be in the lead of this race. He wants to have control of the race, but just can't really seem to get a good enough run of momentum to get back along the side, either the outside or the inside of the 47 machine here.
Moore probably knows that if he lets Page get by, Page in some clean air isn't going to be good. He's just going to go.
Exactly, so
he's got to hold him off as long as he can. Like you had said, Will, taking every inch. This Page is going to send it way down there. Because you've held me up long enough. I'm going.
Whenever you looked at the points a while ago, is Brandon Moore a part of the playoffs?
I don't believe he is. Let me double
I
check.
I don't think he is because he missed a few races this season, so I don't I don't know if he is. He could just, which hey, more power to the people that aren't in the playoffs that still, come participate, try to win these races. You know,
Nope, he is actually in the playoffs. Yeah, he's in the playoffs. He's got tied
all
for
right,
10th right now. He just doesn't have that windshield banner on yet. You can see it around the
yep.
green around the apron of the car, but not on the windshield. Some more
So
still holding off
both.
Page.
Oh yes, indeed. Good fight here for the lead. Both drivers battling for a win to carry them further into the playoff picture here in the BNR Cup Series. It's really a tale of who cannot make a mistake. Because if Brandon Moore makes a mistake, Brock Page can be there to capitalize, but also Dover can be kind of a self-cleaning track as far as, that theory of what goes up must come down type of thing, or even sometimes what goes down does come up. That applies here at Dover very well because, laws of motion, I guess you could say. So if Brandon Moore's car just gets sideways, Brock Page has a pretty good 50-50 chance of being in his door, in the roll cage of the car, I guess you could say. So you can see Philip Bridgman having a bit of an issue coming off the corner there onto the straightaway from turn 4, trying to get out of the way of the race leaders, but Dover, it's a very difficult track. Just got to race the track most of the time, pretty much all the time. You don't really necessarily want to race your surroundings or your competitors, more or less. Just let them either by or if you're, all depends really about your pace. Find your own rhythm here. The leader's able to get around Bridgman and now going to set the sights on the next car. Brock Page really keeping Brandon Moore honest here.
Setting up to make the pass. He's to his door. And down into 1. Page has the advantage. And he's got him clear as they come out of 2.
Yes,
Page is the new leader.
Like you say, could this be, oh, hey, green flag cycle of pit stops. Oh, goodness gracious, occurring
Tiller.
right now. Yes, indeed, Tiller. So only about another 10 laps or so until we see the race leaders come down. So 10 to 12 laps, perhaps, maybe give or take, Chris. So.
Oh, and we got Carter backwards on the track, but we got no caution.
Oh,
He's down in the apron.
no, cop. Goodness gracious.
Look what happened to Jacob Carter. Oh, we lost the car, but overcorrected and went back around. So that's a good example of the caution lines on the tracks where he's just sitting backwards, but since he's on the apron, it didn't go.
Yes, exactly. Good point out there, Chris. You know, if you're off the track and his car just quickly spun around backwards and went down onto the apron there at Dover, and like you say, kind of the caution line symmetry, how it works, about how the cautions get thrown, whether the car is actually on the track or off the track or not. So I think some drivers gonna have to do this do this race in 3 stops. Others, Brock Page and Brandon Moore, Josh Mall, and Philip Bridgman. Those drivers definitely trying for 2 stops, but I think we might have some that unfortunately just might not make it all the way to the end this evening. I don't think Tiller's good to go from when he just stopped at lap 120.
Wow, Carter is...
121-ish.
That car is really putting up a fight for Carter, so watching him really just hold on to that thing.
So
he is wrecking loose as we see him loose again.
Those tires, not really happy, one would say, after having that spin on the front straightaway, and like I said, I don't think he pitted since then, so really have a handful underneath the 22 driver right now. Like you say, wrecking loose, good term for it, because he most certainly is.
Keeps running way up in that high side. It's odd why he keeps sending the car up there.
You can see the gap now that Brock Page has to Brandon Moore. Decent buffer, but we saw how much Moore was able to make up in the first wave of green flag pit stops. So. Oh, Jacobs around again. Now this time, could it bring out a caution? No, it still does not. And he was even sliding backwards on the front stretch there, so
he needs to get that thing.
At least, yes, I do agree.
He's got to get that thing off the track.
Seriously crabbing now, it looks like. So, Monster Mile has another victim. Looks like Brian Huntley got to the 10th position and decided to park it for the evening. So 4 cars currently out of the race. We suspect Jacob Carter to be the next, if he does decide to actually park it here.
Got Cook and Bridgman on pit road.
Yep. Art Truex Jr.
Sure why Bridgman's holding for so long. Cook too.
There goes Cook. Maybe just repairs. They could have smacked the wall and just decided to repair the car.
I don't know. It's a green flag though. Something's not right. Are we in the Twilight Zone, Will? What is going on here? Yeah, I don't know. Curious case of Philip Bridgman. Looks like we have got just 3 cars on the lead lap now.
Page, Moore, and Judson.
Campbell being the first one a lap down. Tiller's a lap down as well.
You know, good run for Chris Campbell this evening. At the moment, like you say, currently 5th, 4th. So...
$138 laps in the books here tonight at Dover for the BNR Cup Series.
Brock Page just setting a blistering pace. Guess you could kind of, in a way, call it a dominant performance at the moment because he has led the most laps. He's been out front the most, but not to say he hasn't had, you know, somebody trying to keep him honest, that's for sure. He had Tiller at the start of things, and then Brandon Moore thrown into the equation once he was able to chase him down.
I think for some reason Bridgman must have retired. We got Brandon Moore on pit road now. And here comes Brock Page. Sean Judson will be the last one on the lead lap. He's a pit. So he is way back.
So Brock Page is going to have a lap fresher tires than Moore. So a lap separation there.
And here comes Judson. There's our 3 lead lap cars down on the pit.
Judson, so basically 2 laps separating, or is it 3? Yeah, 3 laps separating the top 3 as far as when they came into pit as separation goes.
Let's see, is Brandon Moore going to pass Page during this pit cycle? Page is off. I don't think so.
No.
Wow. Guessing maybe Moore didn't have such a great pit time, and Page may have.
Yeah, Page was definitely better that round of pit cycle. Green flag stops.
Well, actually, it's
even
showing,
though the lap of separation.
Page spent 53.2 seconds on pit lane. This was 52.9, so almost identical, but Page was a little bit slower and still ended up out ahead.
Well, just about how, you know, like you woe up before that commitment line to when it actually starts counting you into pits, or
Yep, yep.
you know, lots of things kind of cycle into that.
Well, with them pitting
The
that cycle there, that's put Tiller back on the lead lap. Well,
Yeah, Stiller back on the lead lap. That time short pitting didn't really fare out as good as the last time. Also, kind of suspect that might cost Tiller to have to pit an extra time as well. So have to wait and see as we get closer towards the end of the race, Chris. Brandon Moore, though, only that one lap separation. He's kind of ran back down Page, so Page with the cold tires, I guess you could say, coming out of pits. That lap pressure being out there on the track, Brandon Moore able to run down the gap, I guess you could say. So just that one extra lap of short pitting could have helped Brandon, but we've also seen how Brandon can kind of be compared to Brock in the fall off towards the later end of the stint.
so we think, Will, we're going to see one more cycle of green flag stops.
I don't think so for Page and Moore and Judson. I think those three should be safe, but it's going to be kind of iffy for Tiller, and I think maybe just Tiller. Maybe Cook as well. Cook and Tiller look. But I think you wanted to kind of try to get to about, lap 67 or so to go to be actually officially good to make it to the end. At least, 65 to go.
Brandon Moore is right on Brock Page's back bumper now.
Yeah, Brock Page giving a window of opportunity to Brandon Moore going through 1 and 2. I don't know if you actually want to do that or not, because Brandon might actually take it. 50 laps to go, Chris.
I was just thinking that maybe, I mean, Page knows he's fast, and he's fast later, too. So maybe he's, go ahead, Brandon, you can take it. I'll get it back later from you. As they still do have 48 to go.
Yeah, I would feel the same way. I would feel, hey, I've been able to run you down after I already let you go earlier in the race. I feel like I would do that as well. We've seen that Brock had the capability of doing that, so one would think, why not go ahead and just do that again? So. But it can be quite difficult to pass here at Dover. That could be the challenges that Brandon Moore is facing just in that dirty air.
Well, looks like Page is going to find himself in some dirty air in just a second here, as well as coming up on a lap car.
I saw on the back of Christopher Campbell. So, might take that opportunity to try to get alongside the 36, but can't quite get there. So have to just fall back in line behind him. tell you, just really good racing here between the two of these drivers, Brock Page, Brandon Moore. As Brandon Moore now gets a good look alongside the race leader, Brock Page, taking that position away at the moment. Brock says, all right, you got alongside of me. I'll let you go now. All right. Looks like they're chasing down John Tiller. Currently 4th place, so about to go back to having 3 cars on the lead lap. Page able to somewhat get a run on Moore when Moore was side by side with Tiller, so that closes the gap just a little bit. Kind of take a look through the field just to see where everybody else was, but action still up here at the front of the field between Brandon Moore and Brock Page. Brock Page trying to still be ever present on the back of 47, apply the pressure that he needs to maybe make Brandon overdrive the corner, make a mistake, or something to throw Brandon off his game.
Yeah, Page isn't even trying to pass right now. He's just waiting.
Oh no, working indeed. Just waiting in the wings.
He's just hanging out. You can hear him make a little contact on the back of Moore. Don't forget I'm here, you know?
Exactly.
Page is up for a Sunday drive, and Moore's probably sweating bullets. Or at least if I would, if I was in that spot.
Oh, most definitely. Being the leader, especially with somebody right up behind you for 2nd place, you know, trying to take the lead away.
Nerve-wracking.
Very, very hard. Oh, so much.
Typically when I'm in that position, I tend to choke. Man, he's making contact with him almost every lap. I think this is a super speedway, so much contact.
Yeah, you gotta be careful though not to send the person you're pushing here, especially at Dover. You can kind of bump them like midway down the straightaway, but not really at the exit, because if you bump them into the corner, you could send them up the track. Brock Page looking to the inside now. Brandon Moore. Can Brandon Moore fight back with momentum around the high side? Looks like he's going to really try. Can he get it to pivot into the corner where and how he needs to in that outside lane? But now Brock Page could have had a little bit of air taken off the nose. Kind of floated up into 1 and 2. Can't complete the pass. Falls back in line behind the 47. Got a bit tight in the bottom lane underneath the 47 as Brandon was kind of holding him down, but still keeping within reason of being just in the in that second groove there, so no harm, no foul done. Just holding him down just enough, but not quite pinching him, I would say. So I would say Brandon could have been a lot closer if he wanted to pinch, but just the way that the race has played out up until this point, you would think Page has the quicker car, or at least, you know, is quicker than Brandon Moore. He's almost like the past handful of laps here, Chris. He's almost been playing with him, almost, you think. But Brandon Moore really been keeping him with really having to put up a fight for this race win here in the closing laps of this race, in the closing 50 laps of this race. As we get inside to that 30 laps, almost 25 to go. And again, another rough 1 and 2 on the bottom side for Page, as Brandon Moore still hanging strong in the outside lane, keeping up that momentum, rolling it through. Brock Page not able to do nothing about that on that bottom lane. There's enough rubber built up now on that outside lane to have enough momentum built up to actually have the car to stick. Page knows this, so if Page can run up there, he could use that against Brandon, unless Brandon goes to swoop up and take the lane away. So Page now trying to take that outside, but Brandon kind of puts his car in the middle of the track. So closing in here on 25 laps to go. Intense, great battle for the lead of this race, as Campbell, good run for Chris Campbell here this evening, inside the top 5 in 4th position. Cook takes 5th because Tiller's late race pit stop here that I'm pretty sure I thought he was going to owe us. So short pitting really costly for Tiller here at Dover, as Brock Page makes another attempt to pass alongside the 47. This time he should be clear coming off of turn 2. And he is finally clear of the 47. Brandon Moore may not have the tire to fight back against Brock Page, because Brock Page could have just been saving a good amount of tire percentage or wear, just kind of playing cat and mouse behind Brandon Moore for the longevity since that last pit stop, as Brock Page now takes control back of the race. Brandon Moore, though, still back there.
Judson out, just turning laps, knowing he's got his 3rd place, a podium finish for himself tonight.
Pretty solid stand-up top 3 performance by Judson, just letting the race come to him, being in the right place at the right time, right moments. So
yeah. Oh, and we got a yellow. Oh, we look.
Oh, maybe contact happened between the 2 race leaders here.
We went too far back. Oh no, it looks like it. Let's go back just a little bit further.
Brandon Moore went along the inside, but he's going to walk up the track here into the left rear of Brock Page, turning Brock Page down the track. And that's going to be our 2nd caution of the evening. And man, very tough when these 2 competitors were racing so intensely amongst each other. And now, just kind of wonder. Go ahead.
Do they have the fast repairs in this series?
I do not think. No, no fast repairs for the Cup Series
Ooh.
in the BNR.
Hopefully it's not going to have too much damage here and he's still going to be able to put the speed down. That's going to bunch up with Judson though, so that'll close up a 20 something second gap.
Yes, indeed. So Judson, for sure, will come into play here, you would think, late in the closing laps of this race.
And we're going to have a lucky dog too. Would that be Campbell?
I would think, because he just went a lap down, or should be Campbell.
Looks like Page is going to hang out on pit road, try and fix as much of that damage as he can. And Bridgman's going to go out for the end of this race. Page expressing his displeasure.
Judson didn't pit.
He did pit. I think Brandon Moore came in after Page, and Judson was Page. Excuse me. Page took so long in the pits because he was repairing damage.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna restart with Judson in first, Moore second, Page third, Campbell fourth, lap down. This car is off. Gonna get the green flag with 19 laps to go. And they're off. Judson sends it way up high. Right up to the high line. And Page
Well,
sails by Moore.
he changed lanes before the start-finish line, didn't he? That could be a penalty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right there. He's already... Oh, boy. That's a good point, Will. I didn't notice that.
That could be a penalty coming for Judson. Have to wait and see. But at the moment, Brock Page applying a lot of pressure to the back of Judson. And in tow would be Brandon Moore. So Judson had a moment there coming off turn 4. Brock Page went to do some evasive maneuvers. And Brandon Moore going to try to follow.
Ooh, Judson in the wall.
Yep. Page cleared him, so did Moore. Moore and Page now going to battle it out, it looks like. don't guess Judson got a penalty, but if so, he probably would have already served it by now. But
Well, a lane change would be a admin thing, and we don't have live race control this week, I don't think. So that
yeah,
will
good point. Good
probably
point.
roll over into a next week, drive through or something like that, if a penalty is applied.
I know earlier this season, I believe it was the Xfinity Series at Daytona that happened, and yeah, let's just say it, it changed the whole complexion of the end of the race. It happened on a green-white checkered, and anywho, so just less than 15 laps to go, 14 to go here. Brock Page, after getting kind of clipped and sent down to the inside retaining wall, back to the lead. Judson back there, looks like he's going to have to settle for third. Brandon Moore, though, applying pressure to Page, as Page kind of might have had a bad turn four. Couldn't quite tell from that angle, but Brandon Moore ever so present on the back of Page. Now directly applying that pressure. Gave him kind of a bump off the exit of turn two, it looked like. So Tony the Tiger being aggressive. As you can see there, gets alongside, gets a bumper in there, but not quite there, not quite. Page just not having a good turn two, drive off of two, I would say. Moore having it better so, but Moore just about clipped the apron on corner entry of turn one, so that was kind of a sloppy one for Moore. About to be 10 laps to go, this time at the line. Can Page hold off Moore and Judson? Judson's kind of looking like David Pearson right there, just lurking ever so quietly in third place after the restart. So Brock Page, the dominant driver of the evening of this Dover 200 here in the BNR Cup Series. Brandon Moore, though, led some laps. He's really kept Page honest once he got up here and been challenging. Both drivers pretty dominant in their own respect or aspects of each other, so because they've pretty much been in tow all night when they've been racing amongst each other. And I'm pretty sure Brandon didn't mean to get into him and kind of get him sideways there in turn four to bring out that caution.
No,
I'm sure
right.
that's
been racing clean
I'm sure
side by side all night.
Exactly. Just one of those moments where you get underneath somebody and the car just kind of gets away from you, and you can't kind of help that sometimes. But Brock Page back out in the clean air, kind of has a decent buffer. It's not like it's 3 or 4 seconds or nothing. It's just a few car lengths away. So is that enough to keep Brandon Moore at bay in these final 5 laps?
Brandon Moore a little loose off the corner. laps to go. Brock Page is now opening that gap up.
Yeah, it's almost a second. I would say it's pretty even between first, second, and third as far as, you know, the gap goes. Brock Page was able to get by the lap car pretty easily there of Cook, and Moore's going to have a bit of a time, a bit of a tougher time, and he finally got by as well, so, but still lost a little bit of time.
White flag is out.
Yes, final time of asking here at Dover, BNR Cup Series. Brock Page taking it down the back straightaway, now with a pretty good buffer, comfortable lead, one would say, for the final lap, coming off of turn 4. Looks like he will be the victor here today. Brandon Moore and... Go ahead, Chris.
Brock Page, Brandon Moore, Sean Judson, the top 3 podium finishers tonight. Well, all right. Well, let's take a... Sorry, go ahead, Will.
I was just going to say, at the end of the day, Brandon Moore unfortunately just didn't have enough to be there to have something to fight for at the end of this race against Page. He did put up an awful good fight, but it wasn't enough.
All right, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have our top 3 finishers. Welcome back to Dover Motor Speedway. We've got our top 3 finishers with us now. We'll start off here with Sean Judson, finishing in 3rd place. Sean, just kind of lying in the weeds. You just had a pretty chill, I'd say at least second half of this race. Tell us about it.
Yeah, just sitting back, saving my car. The best way to get a good finish at Dover is to take care of it.
Conserving the equipment tonight, ending up in a podium spot. Congratulations on that. Who do you want to thank?
Sponsors, W Energy, KDC Photography, Winter Custom Creations, and Jetty Design. My team, Fat Boys Motorsports, Scott, Cole, AJ, the guy we just brought in, Patrick. That's it.
Congratulations on Sean.
Thank you.
And now we've got our second place finisher, Brandon Moore. Brandon, what an unbelievable race between you and Brock for, oh, it had to be at least the last 100 laps. You needed to make that happen.
Yeah, that was fun. I hope it was as fun as racing it is. Hope y'all had just as much fun watching it. That was a handful. Even just after a couple laps on those tires. But yeah, great job to Brock. He ran a really good race. I'm glad he was able to recover from that little incident we had. But just hard racing. But yeah, lots of fun.
What more do you think you could have needed to make that happen?
I mean, I give it all that I could on the bottom without doing anything that you shouldn't do. I'm not going to just dump somebody for a win. I cut him a little bit of a break in that one corner, but I'm not going to do him that way. But we give it all we could. We needed a lane on the bottom. We needed him to slip up. Pass wasn't going to happen on the outside, so uh, I'm happy with where we come up with it.
Well, you guys put on a heck of a show and definitely looked like you were having a lot of fun out there. Congratulations on the second place finish.
Yep, I really appreciate it. Yeah, and hopefully we can carry some momentum in there to the next race. That's some good stuff.
All right, congratulations, Brandon.
All right, thank you, sir.
And now we've got our winner, Brock Page. Brock, you guys put on an unbelievable show and you were just so dominant tonight. Tell us about it.
That was fun. Hot and slick, but fun. That was a blast. I am wore out.
Well, you made it look pretty easy out there. It looked like for a while you were almost just kind of playing with Brandon, bumping on his back bumper.
Yeah, it was hard to pass on the inside. So I was really just trying to force him into a mistake. And he don't really make many of those. He's one of the better drivers that we got in here. Um, it was just about being consistent and easy and smooth on the wheel. It got hairy around lap cars and trying to go beneath them and stuff. It got a little wild there, but all in all, I feel like we all did a pretty good job of taking care of each other there.
Well, you all did actually take good care of each other, as you said. And so, congratulations on that big win. Well deserved tonight. Who do you want to thank?
I want to thank Brian and everybody for putting these on. I want to thank you guys for broadcasting them. It's always fun, like I say every time. It's always fun to go back and watch them. Um, yeah, man, that's really it. I got my one of my buddy's clothing lines on the rear end of my car. He just started it, so if you don't mind, go and check him out. He's a good dude and he does a lot of good work. He's very artistic and he's really talented. So if you don't mind, go and check out his clothing line he's got going on. And yeah, man, it was just I didn't, it's always the ones I don't expect to win that I'm really good in. I practiced all week, and I was like, man, I don't know how I feel about this because you never know until you're in here with everybody else. So it feels good to come out and win like this. It was a lot of fun racing there with Brandon. I have not seen the incident out of turn 4 yet, so I mean, it is what it is. I still want to race. Helps me out a lot because I'm not going to be here next week. Got to make travel plans to go up north, so it helps me out with not worrying about getting eliminated due to missing a race. So I feel a lot better about it now.
Absolutely. Breathe the sigh of relief knowing that you'll take next week off without much penalty, as you're already locked into the next round of the playoffs, Brock.
Yep, that's
Congratulations.
what I like to hear.
Yeah, congratulations on that big win tonight, and we'll be seeing you week after next.
Alrighty, thank you guys. Good to see you, Will. I guess Will ain't very tall.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
there
good
he
to
is.
see you too, Brock. Congratulations on the win tonight, and looking forward to seeing you at Darlington.
Yeah, man. That's not one of my better tracks, so I was really happy to win this one.
Well, Kansas is next week, but Darlington is week after, so
Yeah,
that's why I set up, see you at Darlington.
yeah.
Hopefully you'll have safe travels and all that. So,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hmm.
All right, well, final thoughts for the evening.
Well, final thoughts. I would say a pretty good Dover race, exciting race there. Once Brandon Moore caught and ran down Brock Page, he really kept him honest. He really tried to have a fight there at the end of the race. They had a racing deal. They got together, but hey, they seemed to be pretty all right about it as far as just, like I said, it just looked like a racing deal when it happened, and that's just kind of what it was. They hard racing all throughout the night once they eventually got to one another. Uh, Wish we could have had some more attendees this evening, but unfortunately, when you get into the playoffs, or there could be a actual real life race going on at the same time. Either way, uh, good typical Dover race. I feel it could have been a lot worse because of how the cars were handling, but we saw that for the most part they were able to keep it under control. And can't wait till next week at Kansas. That mile and a half always seems to provide some good racing, so kind of can't wait till Kansas next week, Chris.
Absolutely, I'm right with you on that one. Looking forward to, like you said, a low car count because we got the big real NASCAR. People don't want to miss that, but be looking forward to a bunch of them cars out there on the mile and a half. One of my, I actually prefer those cookie cutter tracks. I actually do enjoy
Right.
those ones. Uh, yeah, so it was a great race here tonight. Brock Page, Brandon Moore putting on a heck of a show for at least the last half of that race, just non-stop. So
Most
as
definitely.
al yeah, as always, it's pleasure broadcasting with you, Will.
Same to you, Chris.
And that's going to do it for us here at 1 5 Studios. We'd like to thank you for joining us. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the racing action and the BNR Cup Series every Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And once again, we'd like to thank you for joining us, and we will see you at the next track.